being here. You know, the way I see it as a blessing that you tune in to hear and see what I have to share with you. Thank you so much. For those of you that don't know, my name is Will Johnson. UniteAmericaFirst.com is the website. And this is my nightly broadcast, Reality Check. Reality check. You know, someone needs to check reality because we have these people that have completely gone away from reality. They don't care about reality. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about, our country. They don't care about factual information. They create these fake fact checkers to go after people. Basically, if you leave out one little key detail, got you. Right? One little detail, like you're talking about a vehicle, it's a car, but you didn't say the color of the car, so it's missing content. You can say a car was in an accident today on 33rd and 5th Street, right? But you didn't say what kind of car it was, so you left out content. So that's how the fake fact checkers work. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. If you would, please do me a favor, share this no matter how you're watching this or listen to this. I am viewer and listener supported. Without your support, I can't do this. Without your support, I can't be here. So I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And thank you so much for all of the blessings. I did a little short video earlier that's talking about how they want me to quit. I can't give up. Anybody else, I've never done that. I have my own faults, unlike me that has a lot of faults. And I was like, really? When I first started doing these videos, before I started doing the video, I knew God was calling me to do it, and I was fighting it. I literally was fighting it. I was trying to get people around me in my circle to do it. And they all kept saying, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Multiple people saying, I'm not doing that. Overwhelmingly. And I was like, and this got to the point to where I end up having to do it. Because I know God was doing it because I was trying to push it. I said, no, it can't be me. Because I was like, I don't have what it takes to do it. But what I've learned is that God uses people that are not, per se pristine, that believe that they're better than everybody else. God uses people like me for his will. And I give God all the glory, and I always have. And people would, people in the past, they send me messages and say, Will, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you're doing. And, and a lot of times I would tell them, I say, you know what, thank you for the compliment, but join me in giving God all the glory. Because without him, there's no possibility that I could even be here to do any of this. Okay, let's get on with it. So one of the first things that I want to talk about, of course, I'm going to briefly talk about Hunter Biden, right? We got to talk about Hunter Biden briefly here. I got something I want to share with you on that. But before we do that, I want to share something with Kanye West, right? Y'all know who Kanye West is, right? He recently here had a T-shirt on, him and Candace Owens, both of them had a T-shirt on that said White Lives Matter. And of course, the left, they go completely ballistic. They go completely haywire as if they were doing something violent, as if they were calling for violence. And they weren't. It's just the opposite. They've actually called out BLM for the fraudulent organization that it is. No one black has benefited from BLM except for the tyrants that created the organization. With their $1 million homes, I think they got one in the Bahamas now. Their expensive vacations. They've even spent money. And I think I saw a preview where Candace Owens was showing how they spent money on these Dragon Queen events. No telling what kind of sick stuff they were doing in these events, but they were spending bukus of money for it. Shoveling out all the money that a lot of people were throwing into BLM to them. But anyways, Kanye West, he's talking about President Trump in this, and I'm pretty sure many of you have already seen this. And I just want to share it with you as well. And, he calls President Trump. He says, President Trump, my boy, and it's not to be disrespectful for a lot of you that don't know. He's not being disrespectful to President Trump. He's like, this is my boy. Like, this is my dude. This is my guy. It's my man, It's a sign. It's out of respect. It's not to be denigrating or anything. So I want y'all to listen to what Kanye West says here. And he was on with Tucker when he was saying this. And it's just a really short clip. But in the meantime, please help me out. Do me a favor. Hit the share button on this. But check it out.
When I sit across the table from a Josh Kushner and he just feels so entitled to that idea, and this person has never brought anything of value other than so-called being a good venture capitalist, I have a major issue with that. And it makes me feel like they weren't serving my boy, Trump, the way we could have, because, Trump wanted nothing but the best for this country. And it doesn't, Moses stuttered. And saying God is not always going to bring the most perfect personality. A lot of times, the most fake people, their job is talking and making people feel comfortable. Yeah. And the realest people are going to make you feel uncomfortable.
The realest people will make you feel uncomfortable. It's like you're hearing the truth and you're constantly hearing the truth, and people get uncomfortable by hearing the truth. I used to wonder why when I would bring up the conversation or the topic about how the left, these Democrats, how they would constantly talk about white people and how they would demonize white people. And I noticed something. And not everybody would do this, but a great deal. And I at first I didn't understand why. It's just because a lot of people didn't want to hear it. A lot of people didn't want to talk about it because for the most part, they didn't feel that way, the way the Democrats were portraying white people. And I said, this attack on white people is the same attack that they used to do to black people. And it's the common denominator, which y'all have heard me say before. The common denominator is the Democrat Party. They attacked black people back in the day. That has never changed. All they did was change the color. Now they attack white people, right? It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. But I used to have the conversation with certain people, and it's 100% true. And I could tell some of the white people that I used to talk to, about it, that's out, they would get uncomfortable talking about that conversation. And at first I didn't understand why. I'm like, why would you get uncomfortable talking about that? Because it's true. They're doing it. Recognize it. I'm not saying you have to go out and be the victim. Say, oh, woe is me. I'm not saying that at all. But we need to recognize when these people are doing stuff to us, right? When they do this, because if you don't talk about it, you don't address the issue, all it's going to do is fester, and all it's going to do is grow. And then by you not saying anything and speaking out against it, they just think you're in compliance with it. You're completely in agreement with it. It's disgusting, right? And I've said it multiple times. I talked about it, and it's just like abortion, right? Well, not too many people don't have any issues talking about abortion. You're either for death, right? Or you're either for life. There's no in between. There is no in between. They say, well, yes, there is. There's in between. What if it's incest or what if it's rape? Well, there's still death or life. When you get through, at the end of the day, there's still death or life. And you have to be for one or the other. You have to be for one or the other. Right. And you've heard the whole same story over and over. If we can, if we all agree on incest and rape, can we say no to the other? What I guess they're saying now was 98.9%. It's almost 2% now. Can we say no to the rest of it? Right. Can we say no? No, they don't want to do that either. Right. It's still life or death. And listen to this one with Kanye, where he's talking about that he's pro-life because he's wearing it around his neck like a badge.
The lanyard's still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
And you know what? I'm willing to bet the fake fact checkers came out right after that and said that that's not true. More babies are not being aborted in New York than born. Well, it is true. It is true. In 2012, that was the first time it was recorded that more babies were being aborted in New York than born. Think about that. More was aborted than born. And on top of that, they're using this. They have used abortion to kill so many black people in the past. Margaret Sanger led it up, which all of you have heard this, right? But again, that's like I said in the beginning, the fake fact checkers, they're probably saying, "Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true." When it is 100% true. They just don't want you to know about it because they know how bad it really is. See, that's how the demons do. The demons know that it's something bad, but the demons enjoy it. The demons like death. The Democrat Party is the party of death, right? They are. Now, and again, for those of you that are watching and saying, "Oh, you don't ever say anything bad about Republicans," Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Adam Kissinger, Dan Crenshaw, right? Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, rhinos, right? Bunch of no good rhinos, 100%. And I've been seeing memes popping up left and right with Mitch McConnell here lately. I mean, they have always been a snake in the grass. And sometime McCarthy, he'll flip, depending on which way the wave is going. But Hunter Biden, you remember they kept saying that no one is above the law? Does anyone remember that? They would constantly say no one is above the law when it came to President Trump. But when it comes to the Biden crime family, they're not saying that. They're completely silent on it. I guess this is something else that Nancy Pelosi said, do not talk about. Don't talk about the border. Don't talk about the crime. Don't talk about the gas pump. Don't talk about the food crisis. Don't talk about the inflation. Don't talk about recession. Don't talk about the war unless it's, saying that we want to send more money to Ukraine. But other than that, don't talk about anything. And I guess in this case, you can't even talk about Hunter Biden. Well, it used to be that way because now the liberal media is even talking about Hunter Biden. I want y'all to listen to this one with Judge Jeanine because Judge Jeanine completely lays it out and she's so spot on. She's so spot on when she's talking about Hunter Biden and people, look, the crime, they know that Hunter Biden committed this crime. Remember, no one is above the law.
Oh, I love it. They want the Department of Justice to diligently investigate that leak. Gee, what happened to that leak of the Supreme Court decision, that Dobbs decision? I haven't heard a word about that. Okay, let's get back to what we're doing here with Hunter Biden. They started this investigation in 2018. It's been 4 years. We know already that the grand jury concluded in the middle of the summer. Now, did they vote a true bill or did they not vote a true bill? Is there an indictment or is there not an indictment? In order to indict someone like the son of a president, you've got to get the permission of the Deputy Attorney General. That is Lisa Monaco, I understand. And Merrick Garland, everybody. Don't let anybody fool you. There's no wall there. Merrick Garland is making the call here. So they need that decision. Now, if they already got an indictment, then all they need is for the Deputy AG, the DAG, to say, okay, go with it. But then we're within 60 to 90 days of an election, and you're really not supposed to indict anyone where it might impact an election. Sure, he's not the candidate, but he's the son of a candidate, so that would apply as well. Now, they're talking about indicting him on tax crimes and making a false statement. Are you kidding? Number one, lying on that application for the pistol permit, that's a given. That is absolutely a given. What about criminal possession of a weapon? We've got enough pictures of him possessing that weapon while he's naked and various stages of being clothed and not clothed. So we've got a few more charges there. Tax crimes, plural, hopefully. What about Foreign Agent Registration Act? This kid was going through Europe with a vacuum cleaner, sucking up money in a pay-to-play for the United States. And Joe, of course, is the big guy that Tony Bobulinski has come out and said, gee, the feds came and talked to me, but they never came back. Now, let's talk about the fact that if they didn't vote that indictment yet, and if they have to get permission, they can bring back another grand jury or bring this grand jury back in. But his attorney says, well, even though the federal agents say that they have enough, it's not just the federal agents who decide. Well, gee, that's what happened with Hillary Clinton, isn't it? The FBI decided, but that wasn't right either. But here we've got them saying that the evidence is being provided by the defense that should be included as well. What is this, a trial, or is this a grand jury? You indict based upon evidence and you go forward. Don't talk to me about defense evidence. And finally, what about this Tim Thibault, who Senator Chuck Grassley talked about suppressing evidence, and the whistleblowers came out and said they ended that investigation. So you've got all kinds of other charges. The timing is very unusual. Is anyone going to look at the paintings and whether or not that was a problem? That is something that should be looked into. There's a lot more to this than.
Yeah, there's a lot more, and they don't even talk. I'm pretty sure they do, but it's like the issue's not even with the Hunter Biden laptop, right? They're still just talking about the tax evasion and him with the gun and the pictures with him naked and the crack pipe. All this is coming back to bite him, right? And Joe Biden, they're not going to let the press be around him to ask him those questions about Hunter Biden. He's completely ignoring all of it. The same way that CNN will ignore stuff when it comes out, all the corruption that they've been doing, they just ignore it. Even when people ask them questions, right? They just ignore this stuff. Hunter Biden is not above the law. And because it's an election, right? It's election, they want to wait until after the election. First of all, he's not a politician. The big guy's not even running for the midterm election here, right? He's not even running. So they're making the excuse not to charge him or do anything about it until after the midterm election when that has nothing to do with it. The damage, the information is already there. What does that got to do with the midterm election? There's so many people right now that's distancing themselves from the Democrat Party. And y'all seen it, Featherman, Stacey Abrams, when Biden shows up, they don't show up because they're wanting to distance themselves from Joe Biden. Joe Biden's poll numbers are like in the dirt. I don't even think he have poll numbers any longer, except for, Karine Jean-Pierre. And she probably don't like him anymore. She probably just up there lying, right? Nancy Pelosi, same thing. Nancy Pelosi's lying. But anyways, Joe Biden decided he was asked a question. Oh, he wasn't asked a question. He made a statement, rather. He made a statement saying, I just have two words. And he says, made in America. But he has two words.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
And they're all clapping, right? And I think someone had to tell them start clapping. Start clapping. One time he said he had to tell people to start clapping. Made in America, two words. It kind of makes me think about when he was a professor. Y'all heard that? He said he was a professor. Okay, let me get on to something a little more serious. Him just saying another gaffe, right? It's another gaffe. The problem is it's another gaffe. And then there's going to be another gaffe not too long from after this. I guarantee. I'm going to make a prediction right now. He's going to do another gaffe within the next 2 weeks. And that's unless they keep him out of the public eye and don't have him talk to anybody. There's going to be another gaffe. I would go as far as saying the next time he gets in front of the cameras, there's going to be another gaffe. I'm going that far. But he's claiming that the Republicans are wanting a bad economy. You hear this? He's actually claiming that the Republicans want a bad economy. Like, we don't want a good economy. We want a bad one. No, it's just the opposite. They have created a bad economy and they're hurting the American people. But now he's trying to say that this is what the Republicans want.
And that's what I want to talk about today, and how our Republican colleagues have a very different view. And I know many of you are probably Republicans, but many of my Republican friends are basically arguing that good news for the economy is bad news for America.
Listen to this.
As if they're rooting for fewer jobs and lower wages.
You hear this? As if they're rooting for lower jobs and lower wages. Now, I can't help but wondering if he's there scratching his butt. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I can't help it. I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Now, I'm trying to pay attention to what he's saying, and I did pay attention, but I was like, what is he doing? And see, y'all probably going to sit there and pay attention to it now because of what I said. But let me take it back right a little bit because y'all going to pay attention to that because he's doing something. Maybe he had an earpiece or something on. Maybe Obama, the earpiece with Obama telling him what to say. I don't know, but he's doing something. He's reaching around. He's reaching around. I don't know. Look,
is bad news for America. As if they're rooting.
And then he smells his hand.
For fewer jobs and lower wages. It's all part of this trickle-down mentality that says it doesn't matter what's happening on Main Street. What really matters is what's happening on Wall Street. If Wall Street's doing well, everybody's doing well. Well, I noticed that the previous 4 years we weren't doing that well, when Wall Street was doing well, and then that took a tumble.
So he's basically saying that when President Trump was in office, your 401k was not better. Your paychecks were not better. He's saying they were a lot worse than they are now. How do you lie like that and then just don't even have any remorse about it? How do you do that? I mean, seriously, somebody knows, right? Someone knows that how he's lying like that and have no remorse. Like, I really don't care. I mean, he just doesn't care. The economy was a lot better under President Trump. 100 times better, 1,000 times better. We didn't have all of this food crisis. We didn't have these issues because of the policies that President Trump put in place. And they came in and deliberately destroyed all of it, trying to get everybody to believe that, trying to get everyone to believe that it's better under his regime. And it's not. It's not. And my producer said he had a handkerchief. I didn't see no handkerchief in his hand. And when he went to smell his hand, I didn't see a handkerchief, but maybe he did have a handkerchief. I don't know. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. But he was reaching behind him. I'm like, put the handkerchief down on the podium in front of you. I don't know what he was reaching around. I didn't see a handkerchief, but my producer knows better than me. Listen to what he says here about Social Security. Because, they always do this every 2 to 4 years. Every 2 years. It doesn't matter. Every 2 years, they come and say, the Republicans are going to take your Social Security away. Talking about fear-mongering. Knowing good and well it's not true. And then he's going to talk about Tim Scott. What Tim Scott is saying that, hey, we need to go and look at Social Security every 5 years to make sure, this is the way I understand it, to make sure the Democrats are not spending the money that you're paying into Social Security. See, haven't y'all heard about this saying about time, what some of us get to the ripe age of collecting Social Security, it won't even be there. You paid it in. You paid Social Security in. And when you get to that point, that money that you paid in is going to be gone because they spent it. They're not even replenishing it, right? They'll take your money and they'll send it over to Ukraine. They'll send it to other woke programs in other nations, but they don't have your Social Security any longer. And all they're saying is that we need to make sure that they are not spending it. Listen what Joe Brandon says about Social Security.
Senator in charge of electing Republicans in the U.S. Senate this year has proposed a plan to put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block every 5 years. That means every 5 years.
And he's lying. It's not on the chopping. It's to make sure they are not spending it. And they've made that abundantly clear. But he comes in front of the cameras, in front of everyone that's there, and he's blatantly lying again.
Congress is going to have to vote to either cut, reduce, completely eliminate, or vote for Medicare and Social Security again. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think?
It's going to get out of your hands. It's going to get out of the hands of the Democrats. That's what I think.
But that's not enough. You've been paying the Social Security Medicare since you started working when you were 16 years old.
Right, and it's going to be gone.
And then there's a senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson.
Oh, Ron Johnson. I said Scott Johnson, didn't I? Ron Johnson, listen.
He thinks waiting 5 years is too long. And he says Social Security and Medicare should be in the chopping block every single year. If Congress doesn't vote to keep it, it goes away.
He's lying. He is absolutely lying. You know what? If it goes unchecked, they will just constantly spend it. And that's what they don't want you to do. They don't want any checks and balances. They don't want you to be able to go in there and check what they're doing with your money. I mean, look at it. They tax all of us, you and I, and then they take that money from us and then they send it over to the Ukraine, or they send it over to another nation for woke issues. When we have people here in the United States of America that's hurting, we have people in the United States of America that have lost their businesses, lost their livelihood because of the policies that they have put in place, because of what they've done to us. And then, you know, there's another clip, and I don't have it. I wish I did, where Joe Biden was actually lifting up socialism. He was actually talking about socialism. He said, well, the Republicans say that we're nothing but socialists, and they are socialists. Look what they're doing. They're doing the exact same model what socialism has done in the past before they destroyed the nation. The exact same thing. And he goes on to saying, well, the Republicans say that they're calling us socialists. And then he was reading some paper, looked like it was probably from CNN, where he's just reading it saying the Republicans are calling Democrats socialists when they are socialists, like they don't embrace being a socialist. There's many times when they're out there embracing socialism. They like socialism. They want socialism. / AKA communism. That's exactly what they want. It's no secret. That's what they want. Listen to Kamala Harris as she talks about basically socialism and how they want to implement it.
Equality.
Now, she's not going to say the word socialism, but when she's talking about equality and equity, she's basically saying socialism. Listen.
Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing.
Well, it doesn't work that way. Like everyone doesn't get the same prize. If you're in a game, everyone doesn't get a trophy. It shouldn't work that way. Because if you get a trophy for losing, that doesn't mean you're ever going to try to become better at anything. It's the same thing with businesses. If a business doesn't flourish, that means they won't, and you just give them money. Oh, you didn't flourish. You didn't do what you're supposed to do. Here's some money. Right? It's not supposed to work that way. Same thing with society, with people. If you make people lazy, they will always depend on the federal government, this tyrannical federal government. It's really that simple. Listen.
Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place.
I mean, she's like can I say this? She's like the dumbest person to ever be in that position. I mean, absolutely dumbest. And you hear she almost started the cackle. Y'all hear her? She almost started to cackle. They want to take money from people who have worked hard and give it to people who didn't do anything so they can be in the same place. It doesn't work that way. If you constantly do that, and again, all that would do is create a country, a nation, to have people not get up and do anything. Even AOC pushed that crazy nonsense talking about giving people $7,500 a month for sitting on the couch doing nothing. Wow. Now, Joe Biden, I got another one I want to share with you with Joe Brandon here. And, here lately, Joe Brandon's been calling, the MAGA Republicans, calling us the ultra MAGA Republicans, trying to label us domestic terrorists when it's not true. There's nothing to show and nothing to prove that. They just mouth it off at the mouth. Right? Then he has the nerve, the audacity to sit there and try to say that he wants to stop all this division. How do you do that? How do you call half the country domestic terrorists? Even, his regime going after parents because they want to have a say-so in their child's education, calling them domestic terrorists. But then you say you want to squash all this division. How do you do that? This is just clearly him lying. It's clearly him lying, blatantly lying. Listen.
The last few years, we've faced some of the most difficult challenges in our history. We're making real progress, helping folks just a little bit more and giving them a little bit more breathing room. We just have to keep going, and I know we can. For everything we've been through, I've never been more optimistic about America's prospects in my entire career, my word. I've never been more optimistic. Just remember who in hell we are. We're the United States of America.
Watch.
There's nothing we've ever set our mind to we've not been able to do. Nothing.
I mean, really? How does that make a difference? If he's not yelling like that, like Hitler, he's whispering, right? He's whispering. Now listen to this, because this is the part that's where he's absolutely lying, like he hasn't done anything to divide this country. Listen.
Folks, nothing's beyond the capacity if we work together. And so that's my hope, that after this election, there'll be a little return to sanity.
Return to sanity? Are you hearing this? And see, that's the same tactic that they used in 2020 when they were going around burning up stuff, burning half the country. They said, if you want to return to sanity and stop all of this violence that you're seeing on the street, you have to help us get rid of Trump. They did the exact same thing. That's why Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, all of them, and even some of these woke judges went along with it. Because they said, if you want to go back to sanity, what they call it, there was a video with Lindsey Graham. Yeah, it was Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham said he was disappointed with Joe Brandon. No, sorry. It was Mitch McConnell. Said he was disappointed with Joe Brandon because Joe Brandon told him that he was going to go bring everything back to the way it was. He said he was disappointed. He was an idiot for believing it. And see, that's when it confirmed to me that he worked, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, all of them worked with these demonic Democrats to remove Trump. I'm telling you, that's exactly what they did. And listen to him. Again, he divided the country, and he's sitting there telling everyone that we need to come together. We need to come together and stop this division. Listen.
Folks, nothing's beyond the capacity if we work together. And so that's my hope. But after this election, there'll be a little return to sanity. We'll stop this bitterness that exists between the parties.
You hear this? Stop this bitterness that exists between the party. When again, President Trump didn't demonize half the country. President Trump didn't do that. The Democrats have been doing that from day one. Even remember Hillary Rodham Clinton did it, saying the basket of deplorables. President Trump never did that. Here he is talking about we need to stop this nasty division between the parties when they created it.
We'll stop this bitterness that exists between the parties and have people working together. Because I tell you what, we can own the 21st century.
We can own the 21st century. You hear this? I'm just wondering how many of y'all just saw that right there and said, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to be with Joe. How many? Leave me a comment. I want y'all to say, I want to be with Joe. I dare you. I wouldn't type it. I didn't even like saying it, suggesting it, because he's a complete idiot. He's losing his mind. He's actually lost his mind. And, he can tell he's going off the teleprompter. And someone wrote that on the teleprompter, trying to say, we need to change the narrative here. We need to change it, like he's trying to unify. And there's so many people right now that are missing President Donald J. Trump. I mean, crazy like. About 2 months ago, there was a report that came out that about 1 million people have changed their party affiliation from the Democrat Party. 1 million people. This was about 2 months ago. So you know that number has grown since then because the food prices are still high. People still complaining about the gas. They raise it up $4, bring it down $1. Stop complaining now. We brought it down $1. That's what they're telling you. Stop complaining. We brought it down $1. Right? Stop complaining. And it looks like gas prices getting ready to go back up again right before the midterm election. But they don't want you to think about it. They want you to think about abortion. They want you to think about woke issues. That's what they want you to think about. That's what they want you to go to the poll and vote on because they're taking your rights away. They're taking away your woke issue rights away. That's essentially what they're saying. But you know what? People aren't stupid as they'd like they would like to believe that we are, right? They believe that we're completely stupid. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to it. Look what Joe Brandon did when he went to Puerto Rico, saying, I grew up in a Puerto Rican community politically. That insulted so many Puerto Ricans. I saw videos out there with the enhanced language. I've actually played some of them where they're complaining about Joe Brandon. Is sickening. But you know what? They're talking about it even on the Communist News Network, how a lot of people, in this case, they're talking about black people. And you know the biggest problem I have with this is that they have to emphasize on what color they are, right? Like black people are not supposed to leave the Democrat Party. And here you have two white liberals talking about these black people. And I'm like, well, what's the problem? What is the cause of these black people leaving the Democrat Party? What is causing this? What is the problem? Are the black people actually starting to think for themselves? See, they don't say those words, but my goodness, listen to what they say here. That's essentially what they're saying because they're like, they don't understand why black people all of a sudden want to leave the Democrat Party.
Take a look here. This is black voters' electoral preferences in pre-election polling. Look, black voters are the core part of the Democratic Party. And as you can see here in the race for Congress, look, they're still getting 74% support in the pre-election polling right now. But compare that to the final polling for 2020 president and 2018 Congress. Back in 2020, it was 84%, 85% in 2018. So you're clearly seeing right here that there is less support for Democratic candidates for Congress among African Americans. And you can look at the Republican column as well, and you can see that 12%. Not exactly high, but that's actually the high watermark. It was 9% in 2020, 9% in 2018. So basically what was about a 75, 76 point margin is now down in the low 60s. So look, Democrats still well ahead with African Americans, but in a game in which you're trying to drive up margins, the margin among African Americans for Democrats is clearly down.
You know what? And I don't trust those numbers. I'm willing to go as far as saying that 74 is probably 54. I really am. And then that 12%, you know, then we're going to make sure they keep that one really low. I'm willing to bet that number's a lot higher for the Republicans. I'm telling you, because people, more and more black people that I come in contact with are saying, man, I'm sick of these Democrats. They have lied to us. And see, that's part of the reason why they don't want people to see my videos, because I'm a black dude and I'm a strong MAGA Republican. I'm a strong MAGA Republican. Yes, I am a MAGA king. And Jesus is the King of Kings. And they don't like it. You understand? They don't like it. Because, oh my goodness, we can't allow people to see Will Johnson because he might give them the idea of thinking for themselves. So let's prevent him from being seen as much as possible. That's the reason why they do it, right? They're scared of Will Johnson. If you're not scared of me, then release this algorithm that you have on me. Release it. If you're not scared of me, if what I'm saying, people are going to reject what I'm saying, then release it and allow them to make the decision. But listen to the rest of this. Enough about me. Listen to the rest of this. Listen.
So what's going on here? What's the cause of this?
What's going on here? What's the cause of this? You hear this? See, that's exactly what I was telling y'all. This is white liberals going, What's going on here? What's the cause of this? How is it that these black people are leaving? Well, you know why it is? Because black people got to go to the gas pump. Black people need to buy food too. Black people need to turn the lights on. Black people want to be able to go to work and not have to try to decide if they can go to work and put gas in the tank or put food on the table. Black people have the same issues as white people do. That's what's happening here. Black people don't like the fact that you're sending money over to Ukraine when we got people here that's hurting. Black people get it too. That's what they don't understand. And of course, white liberals, they don't get it. But white conservatives, they get it all day because, see, white conservatives understand that we're all Americans. See, that's the difference. And see, when I was younger, I didn't understand it because they kept telling me that, oh, man, it's just the Republicans are for rich white old men, which is a total lie because they kept looking at Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham has been there forever. But it's a total lie. Now, listen to this. Listen.
So what's going on here? What's the cause of this?
There's a lot of things that could be going on. And the truth of the matter is, when you look across polling, it's actually kind of hard to build up a large enough sample size to really dig in on a lot of questions. But I think that this kind of gets at the core part of it. Take a look.
Okay, listen to this. He's going to go off talking about Biden's approval ratings, but why are black people not supporting the Democrats, right? What is the change? And, they're highly concerned because Communist News Network is a network specifically to promote and to uplift the Democrat Party. That's their whole agenda. Prove me wrong.
Look at Joe Biden's approval rating among black adults. If you go back to January to June of 2021, look how high it was. It's 87%. 87%, basically matching what he got in the 2020 election. But look at that approval rating now in August and September of 2022. It's all the way down to 64%. Now, obviously, Joe Biden's approval rating with all Americans is down, but it's not down by anywhere near this amount. This 23-point drop among all Americans, it's only down about 10 to 15 points. So there is a disproportionate drop in Joe Biden's approval rating among African Americans. And I think that's kind of driving why you're seeing Democrats running for Congress getting a significantly lower margin than we're used to seeing.
And again, he still didn't answer the question. Why are black people? Now look at him. He just talked about the poll numbers being down again. He didn't say black people have problems too going to the gas pump, right? Everybody, if you're black and you're watching this right now, do you like the price of the gas pump right now? Do you like the fact that it's going up? Do you like the price of the food when you go to the grocery store? Do you like it? That's a question. And do you think it's better now with the prices being as high as they are? Or did you like it better when they were lower when President Trump was in office? It's really a no-brainer. And see, there's a lot of black people out there because they're so brainwashed, they don't understand. It doesn't register. They've been told a lie for so long, they don't want to hear anything but the lie. That's all they want. They want the lie. Because you can show people the truth. You can tell people the truth, and they'll believe the lie, and they'll even regurgitate the lie. Why? Because they like the way the lie feels. See, they deal with a lot of emotions. They deal with their feelings. They like the way that lie feels. Right? The same thing like, well, President Trump is a racist, a neo-Nazi racist. They like the way that feels, and they like the way it sounds, right? Even though they know it's not true, right? Because they were probably singing a song, I want to be like Trump, and all these hip-hop songs. But all of a sudden, because they like the way it feels, and they've been programmed to say that. And again, I'm telling you, they don't want Will Johnson to be heard. Because I'm telling you, they're putting algorithms on me to prevent people from hearing what I have to say. I'm telling you, they're doing it. They're doing it. Right? Because they must fear Will Johnson. If you don't fear me, lift it. Leave me alone. Just let me talk. Allow the adults in the room to decide if they want to pay attention and listen to what Will Johnson has to say. Right? I think you're all capable of making that decision on your own. At least I think that you're capable. Right? And if you don't want to listen, I'm not going to be mad at you. It's entirely up to you. It's your decision. It's your decision. All right. Let me say thank you to a couple people before I bounce out of here. I want to say thank you so much again. It is Friday. Thank you so much for all of the blessings. Don, thank you so much for the stars. I really do appreciate it. And Susan, thank you. Nancy, thank you. I missed that last one. Rachel, thank you for the stars. And then, okay. Mason, thank you so much for the stars. Or Patricia. And Kathy, thank you for the stars. Diane, thank you so much. Chuck, thank you as well. Matt, thank you. George, thank you. Tammy, thank you. Wow. Barbara, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, I think that is it. Thank you so much. Hey, be prayerful, be mindful. Things are coming. And I'm not saying that to get you fearful and get you scared, because if you actually are a true believer in Christ, you have nothing to fear. Don't get anxiety over this stupid stuff, right? Know that God is with us. And I would be lying to say I don't understand, because I do, because this flesh gives us anxiety from time to time. It does. We can't give into it. I tell myself, just like I'm telling you, we have to be strong. The body of Christ, we have to be strong. You and I together, we have to be strong, especially for what's to come. Especially for what's to come. Thanks again, everybody. Please go to uniteamericafirst.com, uniteamericafirst.com. Please support me as much as possible. Pick up one of the t-shirts. You like it? MAGA King. For your ladies, the ladies, I have MAGA Queen. We'll see you on the flip side, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, a blessed weekend. Reality check.